Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to AJZ Studios. And this is my first time making an upload, directly speaking to you. And I definitely wanted to kick off 2025 in this manner, just to let you guys know where I'm planning on taking the channel in the coming months and in the year itself. So, just to begin, I'm a few days away from attending the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, and I am beyond excited for that. It's going to be a special show. It's been built up as a special show. So what you will be seeing content from that event. I'm hoping to share more about the experience as a whole rather than just posting moments and matches from my seat, but to actually share those and also speak on the experience and the experience itself, not just being a ticket purchase, but I did go ahead and purchase an on location package to the event. And I elected to do so the same day that general tickets had gone on sale because the on location package gone had been available a few weeks prior to that sale, and I wasn't fully committed to doing it. I'd never really thought I would go with those packages. It didn't seem worthwhile from what I had seen in the past. One thing that was different about this time around were the superstar names mentioned as a part of the hospitality service they offer. Five superstars will be present. Initially, LA Knight wasn't a part of it, but he was added after my purchase, but not in replacement of anyone. He's just an addition. The Miz will be there. Liv Morgan will be there. And the two names that really stuck with me as, wow, like this is maybe something I'd be interested in: CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Now, at the time of purchasing that package, this was prior to Survivor Series. My mindset at the time was, Punk is going to be on the show, Rollins is going to be on the show. They're going to have a very prominent spot on it. It'll be cool to meet both of them on that same day. And, to just have that moment with them. I've met Seth Rollins previously during WrestleMania 33 weekend in Orlando. CM Punk, I've never directly spoken to or had a proper one-on-one with. The closest to that being when I was ringside at Double or Nothing 2022 after he had won the AEW title from Hangman Page. He did a cycle around the ring, and I got to fist bump him, have a brief interaction with him, and that was great. But always wanted to just have the opportunity to speak to him. The thing with those two is that ever since I got into pro wrestling, when I was about 9 years old in 2007, CM Punk was one of my favorites. He slowly did become my number one favorite over the years. Jeff Hardy was up there as well. Shawn Michaels is up there. Punk definitely became that number one guy in the early 2010s, especially after everything that went down with the pipe bomb, with the Money in the Bank build up and the match with John Cena. And yeah, once Punk left the WWE at the start of 2014, it was a rough time for me. My favorite wrestler, I just left. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely something that upsets you, and you're thinking, when will he come back? Is this something that's temporary? Then you hear the Colt Cabana podcast that came, I believe, Black Friday of 2014 was when I heard it. So I think it was around that time. And to be where we're at right now at the start of 2025, for him to return to pro wrestling in 2021, for things to go the way they did in AEW, and then for him to eventually come back to a WWE without Vince McMahon, with Triple H in charge. And I just was of the mindset that Punk would never come back to the WWE, because he had something against Vince and he had something against Triple H, and I think Triple H had something against him. Whatever, I don't fully know the situation. It's just what I've heard. Punk's account of his final conversation with Vince and Triple H prior to WrestleMania 30, or prior to the Monday Night Raw that he walked out. That's just kind of what I perceived to be the relationship between those guys, and I just didn't think there would be mending at some point. I was hopeful there would be, definitely, because seeing what Triple H did with NXT that same year in 2014 and what he built it up to be, and knowing what the main roster would be eventually once he had that power, I was so excited for it. I couldn't wait. And then, I was kind of expecting that to really hit by 2017 for some reason, just because a lot of those NXT guys would be called up, the likes of Balor, and a few others. Owens, obviously came up a few years prior. My idea being that those NXT call ups were gonna have great runs on the main roster under Triple H, and Vince McMahon would understand, the direction that the WWE was meant to go in. That wasn't the case. Those years were tough. They were really, really trying to push Roman as a, with Roman, the issue was he could have been a babyface, he could have been a heel during that time between 2014 to 2020. The way they presented his character was very poorly done. The limitations they gave him to expand on that character. He was essentially same gear as the Shield, same theme song as the Shield. Wasn't allowed to have an identity apart from the Shield, and whatever he did have, it was just robotic and none of it was his fault. He still produced great matches. He had great moments during that time, but it wasn't what Roman Reigns from 2020 to the present day is. So a lot of craziness, Eventually we got to where we are. Vince McMahon's out of the picture. He's gone. Triple H is doing a great job. There are flaws, and I understand people's concerns with various things, and that could be a topic for another video. But I'm happy with where WWE's at right now. I have my own personal flaws with certain things, but I enjoy the product, and it's something that I can come back to weekly and feel rewarded for keeping up with storylines, investing in these superstars, and going to the events. So with that being said, I did go off on a bit of a tangent here, but I was pretty much speaking on the On Location package for Monday Night Raw on January 6th. So with that, they have the hospitality event. I have the opportunity to meet Seth and Punk. It's not a guaranteed meet and greet. It is essentially, from my understanding, we get into the hospitality event. It's free food, free drinks, pretty much all you can eat and drink for a 2-hour period. I actually did receive the itinerary on Monday, December 30th, so a full week before the actual event, and they highlighted pretty much everything going down as a part of this gold package that I purchased. And what it says is that the priority pass check-in opens at 12:30 p.m. at the North VIP entrance of Intuit Dome, which I've been to that entrance. That's how I entered when I had previously attended a Clipper game at the Intuit Dome, so I know where that is. So go in and check in there. At 1 p.m., the priority pass doors open at that same entrance, and then the hospitality begins at that time at the Patron Club, by the name of it. I didn't get to see that when I was at the Intuit Dome, but looking forward to checking that out. That should be a pretty cool, fairly new lounge, so I'm sure it'll be a very nice place to just hang out, enjoy some food, some drinks before the event, and get to meet some of these guys and girls. It's definitely something I'm looking forward to. So that's going to be a 2-hour period. It closes at 3 p.m. along with the priority pass check-in. So following that, I guess we exit the lounge and would have to re-enter the arena, or maybe from there we can enter the arena. I'm not too certain. I will have a follow-up video after the Raw event and speak more to it, speak to my experience with it. So far, I don't have too much to share other than, I felt the need to purchase this package. It was a great opportunity, just given that last year, going to Philadelphia for WrestleMania, trying to purchase a ticket to meet Punk at WWE World was so difficult, and essentially tickets to meet him and Punk, to meet Punk, to meet Rollins, and to meet Cody all sold out within the first 5 minutes. I timed everything as well as I could to get into the queue properly and just didn't work out. It seemed like getting WrestleMania tickets itself was easier than these meet and greet tickets for World. And it is very pricey. You know, they charge you, I think it's like $60 a day. And right, they have multiple days of this event with the VIP purchases showing up on different days. So it's like if I'm meeting Seth and Punk, that's probably at least 200. So they would charge an additional 200 on top of the general fee to get in. So it was going to be at least 260 meeting Punk and another 260 meeting Rollins back in Philadelphia. Now in Vegas, I don't know if they're gonna, you know, bring up the prices to general admission and to VIPs for WWE World. But with that being said, you know, just kind of doing the math, adding up the base price of getting in to the first Raw on Netflix at the Intuit Dome, it was about 250 to 300 for the cheapest tickets, from what I recall when I had gotten in on that sale. So to think, you know, spending, so to follow up on my purchase of that priority pass, I spent $750 on it. Definitely a good amount to spend on an event. Now knowing that Punk and Rollins is going to be happening that night, which when I purchased it, I hadn't known. It seemed like that was in the works for WrestleMania. And it very well can still be. This might just be the first of multiple matches with the conclusion coming at WrestleMania. Or, it is kind of crazy to think, you know, this event is going to be so special to be at because it feels like whatever happens here really puts into a clear vision of what WrestleMania will be. We'll have an idea of, you know, is The Rock going to be there? If The Rock's at Raw and he has any indication on if he's going after Cody, if he's going after Roman, what the situation is, and just to know if he'll be at WrestleMania, because that's the big question mark. Will The Rock be at WrestleMania in Las Vegas? And if he is there, who does he face? It seems like they're pulling away from doing Rock versus Roman again this year, and it may be something for a future WrestleMania. I'm not sure about that. I personally feel like they, last year wasn't the time. It clearly wasn't the time with Cody's situation. And this year, I feel like would be a good time. Vegas is, it's a great location. It's WrestleMania 41. 40 is hard to top. It's a big number. 41 is a bigger number mathematically, but, I think it's the time. I think it's the time to do that match. Rock, I would not be opposed to doing Rock versus Cody either. I think I would enjoy that match a lot. And whatever the card is for WrestleMania, I have ideas of what I want. And if it doesn't fully meet that, that's totally fine. I'm just hoping to have a bit of what I want and to just enjoy an overall well-rounded show over those 2 nights at Allegiant Stadium. My dream was to see Punk and Rollins at WrestleMania 40 for the world title. I was hoping for that to happen. Punk's injury, pushed that along. The Drew feud was amazing, and that was definitely meant to be front and center for the rest of Punk's 2024 up until what occurred at War Games. So I'm content with Punk and Rollins being the main event, hopefully the main event on this first Raw on Netflix. It's questionable. They might have Roman versus Solo main event. Again, most likely dependent on if The Rock is going to be there or not. So I would assume if The Rock's going to be there, that Punk and Rollins may not main event, even though they should, in my opinion, no matter what, because the mic battle they had on Raw just a few nights ago was insane. One of the best segments of 2024, and it was the last segment of 2024. So, yeah, I personally think that whatever happens, I would want them to follow up and have a match at WrestleMania. And if it doesn't happen, if the plan is to do Punk versus Reigns, I'm not opposed to that either. There's so many directions they can go in. They can do Seth versus Gunther if Gunther and Cena's not on card. There's so many puzzle pieces. You can just move around, and it'll still make for a great set of shows in April. So it's you can argue what's the best direction. There's many directions, and we just have to wait and see what they decide to go with. Now, me personally, I think this match with Punk and Rollins, it may, I would assume the winner would go on to face Gunther for the world title at the Rumble. It seems like Gunther and Logan Paul may have a brief feud leading to the Rumble, but I'm not sure. I ideally would want Punk to win this first match. Have him win the world title from Gunther, which is a controversial opinion in itself. A lot of people want Gunther to go into Mania as champion, and I get that. I've been a very big fan of Gunther's run so far. Again, multiple directions. It can go either way, and I'll be happy. But I would love to see Punk win that title and Seth chase after the title that he made relevant as the first holder with that 316-day reign that he lost at WrestleMania because he sacrificed so much for Cody's story to be complete and for Roman to fall. It seems like it would make for a very cool comeback story for Rollins to chase that title that he loves and that he felt was more important than the WWE Undisputed title. I think that makes the most sense. I wouldn't want Seth regaining the title before Mania and having Punk challenge for it. I think this is the ideal way to go about it. Have Punk win the first match. If there needs to be a second match between then and Mania, not sure what you'll do there, but have Seth eventually beat Punk at Mania. Especially with Seth losing at WrestleMania so frequently, I feel like Seth needs a big win at WrestleMania this year. It's well deserved. He had a win over Logan at WrestleMania 39 in LA, but his track record in recent years since WrestleMania 36 has been a lot of losses, and he's one of the best of this generation. He's my favorite wrestler of this generation. He was the guy that I became a big fan of after Punk left. Him and I share a similar ethnic background. He's of Armenian descent, which is the coolest thing to see. As a fellow Armenian, to see someone in the WWE and at the top of WWE as one of the best of this generation and for sure of all time at this point, it's very difficult to... Most people would agree Seth Rollins is a top 25, top 30 wrestler of all time, just for his work ethic. Some people don't like the characters, don't like the character that he's portrayed in the last few years, the flashy suits and clothes and the goofiness that some people deem just kind of ruins it. But in my opinion, I think he's just trying to capture the audience and he wants to make an identity of his own, while in the meantime putting on amazing matches, telling amazing stories. So I don't fault him at all for that. I've very much enjoyed nearly everything he's done over the last 12 years he's been in the WWE. So yeah, with that all being said, my dream was for that match to occur at WrestleMania 40. Circumstances didn't allow it to happen. My initial mindset being, okay, WrestleMania 41, it has to be the initial match. It has to be the one and only match even. But now we're in a position where I don't think this is going to be a one and done between Seth and Punk. I think it's going to extend longer, and it should go into Mania. So we'll see where that goes. But I am beyond excited for this match. To also bring up where I'm sitting for the Raw at Intuit Dome, I'm going to be in section T25, row 1. So it's pretty much front end. It's a central terrace level seat, row 1, which is huge because if you've gone to wrestling shows, you guys know when you have people in front of you, it's always hit or miss with, are they going to frequently stand up? Are they going to be waving signs around a lot, titles around, being loud? Which, nothing wrong with being loud, but I kind of had a weird experience at WrestleMania 39 with someone just kind of overly just being a little too chaotic I mean, it's WrestleMania. I don't fault the guy. It didn't upset me that much, but just, you know, the fact that I can enjoy this show with no one in front of me, I'm at the very front of the section, it is definitely a huge plus. And the way that Intuit Dome is structured, uh, you don't feel very distanced away from the ring, even if you're at the top level, if that makes sense. It seems like the lower levels have more of an incline that just allows it to be more compact. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but for example, compared to Staples Center, in downtown LA, it's definitely a much different, it's definitely more compact, I would say, than Staples Center in terms of seating arrangements, especially when it goes to the top level. So it's not the best seat in the house. It is a good seat though, in my opinion. It's just, you know, it's camera side essentially. So if I bring a sign, hold it like, you know, over the barrier or the like glass, it may be visible, which is cool. I don't know if I'll bring a sign. But I'm looking forward to it. Now the thing that you know does kind of suck is that I think for like an additional $250, I could have gotten floor seats, not front floor, but pretty decent floor seats. I think row 2 or row 1, on one of the floor levels, like behind the main floor levels that are ringside. And you know, looking back on it, I do wish I could be more up close for Seth versus Punk. I didn't know at the time of my purchase, and when I called on location to actually see if I can upgrade, they said it would be possible, except that the only tickets available were meant to be sold in quantities of 2. So if they had the option of a single quantity or single ticket still available, I could have gotten that upgrade. So kind of upset about it, not really, honestly, because, you know, still a great seat, still excited for it, still going to be there in person for my 2 favorite wrestlers of all time, going one-on-one for the first time in 11 years. So yeah, so excited for it. I know I've kind of just been off on a tangent speaking on Seth versus Punk, but there's so much that the show is going to offer, right? We have, essentially, this is going to be the kickoff to the road to WrestleMania, which is kind of what day one was last year in San Diego, with The Rock showing up and everything. I doubt they're going to have a WrestleMania 41 sign up. I'm sure they're saving that for the Rumble, as you know, like that's just traditionally when they do it now. But it does really feel like this show is going to kick off the road to WrestleMania, because we have John Cena returning, kind of the intro to his farewell tour, which is huge because we may have a direct idea of who his first opponent will be. We know more than likely he's going to announce for the Royal Rumble. So that'll be very exciting to see him in his final Royal Rumble, potentially his final Elimination Chamber a month after that. And so Cena coming back, always great to see Cena. I last saw him at WrestleMania and also the night after WrestleMania. So we have that. We have Solo versus Roman for the Ulafala Tribal Combat. I'm sure it'll be a great match. I'm looking forward to it. It's always great to see Roman compete in the ring. He's a special attraction. It's always a special moment seeing him wrestle. I've seen him wrestle so many times in the last decade, but it's like it's always, you know, he is one of the best of all time. So to have him on a Monday Night Raw match in I don't even know how long is going to be special. I expect him to beat Solo, to kind of put an end to this whole Bloodline versus Bloodline storyline. But again, for all we know, The Rock could return, and it may drive this story even more forward. And that, again, may indicate Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. If he doesn't get involved in that, then maybe The Rock is leaning towards Cody, or just he won't be present at WrestleMania. If he's not at the Raw event, I would say it's more than likely The Rock won't be at WrestleMania. Liv versus Rhea for the women's world title. This feud's been going on for a long time. It seems like, you know, like I was at the Raw after Mania, where they had the angle with Liv taking out Rhea, and you know, so that's kind of where it all really started off for 2024. I know they had some stuff in previous years, but this rivalry has been going on for a good while. So I am hoping that this just ends with Rhea winning the last woman standing match. Liv's done an awesome job in her reign. She's made a fan out of me. I wasn't too big of a fan in previous years, just wasn't really connected to her as a performer, but she's done great in 2024. So, it'll be cool to meet her if I get the chance to during that hospitality event. And yeah, from in my opinion, I do feel like the title reign should come to an end on that show. It'll be a big win for Rhea. A lot of eyes will be on it, so it'll be a cool moment for both of them just to have that. And it's like I'm sure if Liv will have another great title run, whether that be with that same title or for the IC or United States titles that have newly been established. That there's so much. There's gonna be so many more stories for Liv to tell after the Judgment Day, after Rhea. So we just have to wait and see where that goes. Drew versus Jey was recently announced this past Monday on Raw. I'm expecting a great match. I think those two, Jey and Jimmy both disappointed me at WrestleMania with their match. It was, like, I heard how bad it looked on TV. I still haven't rewatched that match on Peacock, but in live, I was just so not into it. That match needed some dynamic, a no DQ stipulation, Rikishi as a special guest referee, something to make it not what it was, because those two have very similar movesets. It just didn't work. It just seemed like we were just getting a ton of super kicks. It wasn't a very, it wasn't a good match. Jey since then has been killing it. Jimmy's been doing great. It sucks he got injured during War Games, but they're both doing good. They both main evented WrestleMania together, and that was an awesome match. So no hate to them, but just that WrestleMania 40 match really did miss. But Jey's recovered immensely from it. He's one of the top draws right now in all of WWE. And I think, showcasing him on this first episode is going to be huge. I think Drew being there is huge. And I think their styles should mesh well for a great match. I'm looking forward to that as well. And yeah, it's going to be a great show. I'm beyond excited for it. I cannot wait to share videos of the pre-show hospitality event, of the event itself, and just my experience overall, and to just follow up and give you guys my opinion on if an on-location package is worth the purchase. This is my first time doing it. I don't know if it'll be my only time doing it. It would have to be, a really good meet and greet opportunity or something of really good value to make me want to purchase this again. But to have my two favorite wrestlers of all time present, that alone won me over and I purchased. But to now have it where I may potentially meet them both a few hours before they have a match, a huge, well-built match on the first Raw on Netflix, like, that's huge to me. I can't believe that's actually going to be an opportunity for me. So money well spent, in my opinion. It is just crazy how ticket prices have been going up. WrestleMania is just crazy. I don't feel like it's reasonable at all. I bought my ticket, but it does feel like something where, they are treating it much more like a Super Bowl and making it a very exclusive event, because people, I understand why no one would want to pay these prices. I think it's, I wanted to go my third year in a row, and I'm going to make sure to do it, but I understand why certain people would not feel comfortable or would not ever want to spend that much on going to a wrestling show. And similarly for the Raw on Netflix, the base price to get in being about $250 to $300 is kind of crazy to me. I was hoping to have, some of my friends and people, that I know attend the show, check it out. It'll be cool. It's going to be a special show. But no one as a casual, there may be some out there that maybe would, but at least people I know as casuals, they were not going to spend that money to attend a show of something that they're new to. So it's the unfortunate thing, same with UFC. The ticket prices were usually pricey to get in for a lot of the shows, but it is going up, at least what I can see for UFC 311 a few weeks after at the same venue at Intuit Dome. So yeah, it's just crazy to me because I last minute had purchased row 2 on the floor the night after, so Raw after WrestleMania, row 2, like right diagonal from the ring camera side. I showed up a few times on camera during the Cody and Rock segment, which is so cool to me. I got that ticket for a little over 300. I sold my ticket I had initially purchased months ahead and bought that just kind of as like a, the excitement of WrestleMania Sunday was like so huge that, like, me and a few others had decided to purchase new tickets to be closer up, and it was so worthwhile. It was such a cool experience. Now those same tickets for this Raw on Netflix are at least, I want to say, like $4,000 or $5,000. Like, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's the situation. It's how it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what this year has to come. I thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'm going to have content up most likely the night of or the day after. So look out for that. Thank you guys for watching. Please tune in for more content throughout 2025. I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate your subscriptions. And yeah, if you guys are excited for Raw on Netflix, just as a whole, I know in the US we got some cool little like precursors to the actual first live Raw, where there's like superstar profiles, legend profiles, builds up to WrestleMania in previous years with all the content on Raw that like led to those WrestleManias. A few other things, and then obviously everywhere else other than the US, I believe you guys are getting pretty much everything that we have on Peacock here in the US. So that's huge. So yeah, just let me know your excitement for Raw being on Netflix, or WWE just making this huge move as a whole. Your thoughts on the first show. Are you attending? Where are you sitting? Are you excited? Is it your first event? And yeah, it's definitely going to be a great year. And thank you guys again for watching. I will catch up with you soon. I will have some great content coming. So thank you guys and take care. Have a great 2025 and a great day. Thank you.